Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Apples and Ginos Fantasy Hockey Podcast. My name is Nate Groot Nibelink. I'm the creator of Apples and Ginos, originator of the Zero G Draft Strategy. And in this podcast, I've got a few guests on here with me. We are going to be bringing you the first fantasy mock draft of the offseason post free agency. Let's. And of course, I have your friend and my best friend, Blake Creamer, here with me. I also have some new friends, maybe some new best friends. We've got Brian, we've got Ryan, we've got Evan, all in the building. Gentlemen, how are we feeling tonight? Everybody at once, go.
Great. Amazing. Amazing. Let's go.
There's never a good way to do that. Just introduce four people and ask them to all talk at the same time. So, yeah, we're running a mock draft. I'm super excited. First one of the off season. I feel like free agency, once that's through, that's when we really start to get to biz, as the saying goes. We're starting to really dig in on projections. I'm working my way through my projections. I've gotten all the way through to Columbus alphabetically. So, I feel pretty locked in on those players, and everybody else, I'm just vibes only in this draft here today. I think Ryan, though, you're ahead of me on that. You've been doing projections since June, you're saying.
Yep. Even in the finals of the playoffs, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna get to some teams that might not change a bit, and then I had like half done by the playoffs. When the playoffs were done, I'm like, all right, let's get this over with, and I got a whole value of a placement sheet already for this mock draft. So get ready to be sniped.
That's what I'm hearing. That's what I said. I think basically we should expect you to have the best team at the end of this mock draft, and anything else will just be a disappointment, really.
All right. Give me that pressure. Let's go.
All right. We are pretty close to getting started here. I did want to just quickly give the settings. I have pinned them on the YouTube live as well for anybody who's watching this live. We are using the Apples and Ginos Patron League settings for the upcoming year. That's going to be 3 centers, 3 left wing, 3 right wing, 4 D, 1 utility spot, 2 goalies, and 4 bench. If we do start to run too long, I may just cut off the draft after 16 rounds, which would be like the starting positions there. But you don't have to draft solely by position. If you don't want to draft any goaltenders, I think I will excuse that. Scoring settings here, we're doing head-to-head points format here. Goals are going to be worth 5, assists 3.75, shots on goal 0.5, power play points 0.5, hits are worth 0.3, blocks 0.6. On the goalie side, wins are 2.75, saves 0.35, goals against minus 1.5, and shutouts are worth 3. Everybody's got that locked in. Everybody understands exactly where we're at as of now, I'm sure. We have some people in the chat. Armin's here saying that he missed us. We missed you too, man. Dynasty Dave, #0G. James loves that we are back. That's awesome. And Armin already has questions for us. In a 16-man Cats League, would you keep Kuzmenko for a 14th or Peterka for a 6th? Who wants to jump on this one?
My answer would be neither.
Yeah. What are you talking about? You keep Big Kuzi and you take it to the bank. Oh, God, no. That'll be interesting, though, when we get to talk about those players. Paterka is a guy that I think is going to be sort of polarizing this year. Just because, new face, new place. We know the offensive acumen. But, it's going to be interesting. 6th round, Paterka, I don't know about that.
Yeah, 6th round feels a little steep for Peterka. I don't mind Kuzmenko for a 14th, especially if it's Bangers Cats. Like, Peterka's not much of a banger either, so... Here we go. We are on the clock, and I am going to go ahead and take Nathan McKinnon first.
Oh, I love this.
In the 101 spot.
All right.
I think it's a good point to bring up right off the top. McKinnon versus McDavid. I've had McKinnon projected higher than McDavid, I think, each of the last 2 years, and this year is no different. I've projected both of those guys mostly just to see who I'd go with on this pick, and actually it wasn't particularly close in this format on the baseline projection for McKinnon. I think actually last year he's probably a little under what he might do this year in terms of the shot projection. Full season of Martin H's there alongside him. Gabriel Landeskog. I looked at Gabriel Landeskog today. What he did in the playoffs, his stats were like right back there where they were before. I know it's a small sample size, but for him to do what he did in the playoffs was really impressive to me. So I'm actually pretty excited about that. Ryan, you're on the clock at the 104. McDavid, then Draisaitl. What are you going to do at 104?
Oof, I'm making you wait, but yeah, I do think there's a clear top five this year, at least in this format. Maybe top four. Honestly, there's not much to talk about. Like, I have to take Kucherov here. I want to take big swings in a mock draft, but you can't pass on Kucherov here. Like, he's won the Art Ross 2 years in a row, and he's like top 10 4 or 5 years in a row if it's like fantasy points per game. So no question there.
Yeah, I can't hate on that at the right wing position as well, which, as we all know, is pretty tough to fill, especially in a deeper format like this. When you get down to the dregs of the wingers, you'll see the those wingers be a little bit less easy to stomach than some of the centers that might be left at the end of these drafts. Lucio goes with Cale Makar at the 105. How are we feeling about that? Evan, I'll toss it to you. How do you feel about Cale Makar 105 this year?
I love that. I think Cale Makar is obviously the best defenseman. Werenski kind of kept it close last year, but, he's just – I honestly feel like he has room for more, to be honest. I think his ceiling can go higher than what it was even last year, especially if he stays healthy. But I love the pick. Kucherov is an absolute dog too, Ryan. I love that pick. I think you want the guys that are going to be out there in every situation to get you the most fantasy points, not necessarily the best player for their team. You watch Kucherov stand up at the blue line to get his hat trick on an empty net goal, and I'm watching it being like, oh my gosh, is this really going to happen? But I love Cale Makar at that pick.
Yeah, you guys remember Kucherov at the All-Star game? That's what I think of when I think of Kucherov. It's like this limp noodle just dinking around out there. I don't know, but the guy's amazing. What do you think about Draisaitl at 3? I think that's an interesting pick. I mean, it makes sense, especially after such a good year, but it feels like you could get him maybe a little bit later here.
Yeah, Brian, what do you think? Give us your take on Draisaitl, and then tell us why you took Kaprizov 107.
Yeah. Well, yeah, first I want to say Makar's got that dog in him, so I was really hoping he was going to fall because I was hoping to grab him with the 7th. But Draisaitl is good. He relies on a lot of efficiency, but every single year he's efficient. He's a very efficient player. I was actually a little surprised he went 3rd overall. I would think you could probably get him 5th, if that. Kuch is the clear top 4 to round out the top 4. I would even suggest I would probably go with Kuch or at the 3. I picked Kaprizov because before injury, he was just running the league. I think as long as he can stay healthy, which is the biggest factor for Kaprizov, he's definitely up there with a great elite talent. Like, he's top dog guy.
I love that. Blake, what are you doing here? You on the turn? Are you deep in thought, or can you talk to us?
No, I'm good. And we'll get back to you, Evan, because I like your Jack Hughes pick. I was hoping he'd kind of fall to me here, but I got some bits and pieces. All right, I'm going to take my boy Ranto. This man is getting just flamed. Like, we're saying that Ranto is not a first-round pick. I'm not here for that. All right, I don't care. Don't at me. But I think there's really good value here for Ranto at 12. I mean, this might be where he actually does land, or maybe like an early 2nd-round value, but I'm happy there. I think it's a safe pick. I think his ice time is going to go up in Dallas. He's not going to get the same levels as Colorado, but he's still a 90-point player to me, 90 to 100-point player. And I think that's reasonable for, the consistency that he brings. How much time do I have, for God's sake? All right, let's do some more. Oh, dear God. You know what? I kind of want to get in on the D here, because I'm at the turn.
Yeah, you
do. Yeah, I do that. All right. I want the D, that vitamin D, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. Let's have a little fun. This is a mock draft. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. All right, I'm going to go with ZW here. This is way too high. I'm absolutely, this is too high. Okay. But I'm at 12 and 2-1 here. And I want a piece of a good defenseman, because something Nate and I have been talking about, and I absolutely agree with, is like defensemen, true number 1 defensemen are going to dry up quick. And I want to get someone, pretty elite here.
Yeah, I think that's true. Evan, you've rounded out your first two picks here. You took Jack Hughes 110. You've got Rasmus Dahlin coming back at 2-3. A little bit of a defenseman run there. Blake goes Werenski. Get your fill up goes Quinn Hughes, and you go Rasmus Dahlin. Talk to us about your first two picks.
So, I mean, I was hoping Cap would fall to me on my 10th pick like he did last year, and I won the league. So I was hoping to go Kaprizov and Quinn Hughes. That didn't work out. So my next best was Jack Hughes and Dahlin. I think Jack Hughes, coming back healthy can be absolutely an all-star like he usually is, and New Jersey bounce back year. And Dahlin, I feel like, again, he hasn't hit his true ceiling. It's going to be weird in Buffalo because they lose Peterka and a lot of question marks going into that, but I think he is absolutely a top tier defenseman, and I definitely want one in my first 2 rounds.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Projected Dahlin for 68 points this year, over 100 hits and blocks again, fills out all the categories, everything you can need for fantasy. So I'm comfortably drafting Dahlin in the top half of the second round this year in pretty much all formats. Brian, you jumped on the defenseman train as well and added Evan Bouchard here at the 2-6.
Bouchard might have been a little reach. I really wanted Dahlin. To be honest, he's an absolute stud. But Bouchard, I think he's due for a bounce back. He had a really disappointing year last year. Always performs really well in the playoffs. And I think Oilers are they got to be a little frustrated. I think he's going to bounce back in a really big way. If they stay healthy, Zach Hyman comes back. They got a good lineup on the power play. They should be top 5 in the league. So picked up Bouchard for the power play points and the shots, of course. I think there's a lot of value there.
Yeah, can't disagree with any of that. Blake, anything stick out to you as we get through a round and a half here?
Yeah, it all makes sense. I think the only thing that sticks out are my weird picks, but the other teams here. I love these Brady Tkachuk, Matt Tkachuk teams. That happened last year too, but it was closer to 111 and 2-2 or something like that. But I think that's a nice way to start. I mean, both Tkachuks are actually potentially injured even going into the season. They should both be ready, but there's a little bit of risky biscuit there for me. But yeah, and Wick's team as well. Pasta and Forsberg to start. Dear God, that's a nice little start. But I think, it's kind of the first 2 rounds. You don't like someone was saying there, you don't need to take big swings, right? It's just get the guys that are going to do the job. And I feel like everyone's doing that. This is a good looking second round so far.
JT Miller.
Yeah, JT Miller to 8. It's over to you, Ryan. Do you have a sense of where you're going? I think the D
Blake
may
says,
have dried up.
Yeah, Blake says don't take big swings in the first 2 rounds, and then he takes Werenski at the 13th pick. But, there was a big D run going on, and you don't want to be at the end of a run. So I ain't taking no D here. I was hoping for Werenski right around here, but good on you, Blake. Hopefully he crushes.
I would have taken him there anyway. That wasn't a snipe. Ryan gave us his pick before the draft, folks.
But again, I'm going another right wing. This is a scarce position, at least on Fantrax in these positions. And honestly, I think he's gonna crush it and crush the hearts of us Leaf fans. Yes, I am a Leaf fan. I think he's got 100 points at least on Vegas, and they're gonna have a great season there.
Yeah, Marner feels pretty good here. Obviously, anytime a player goes to a new team, there is some level of risk, right? You can argue that it's not that high when the player is going to get a ton of deployments, is being paid $12 million a year for the next 8 years. Obviously, there's a level of security that comes with that, but sometimes it takes a player a year to acclimate to a new system, and while he's getting acclimated, sometimes the results aren't exactly what you hope for. I was a little bit worried about what was going to come back to me here at the 2-3 turn here, but I'm feeling pretty good about what's coming back around. I think I'm going to be relatively happy. I am considering starting the next tier of defensemen as Reinhart and Yossi go after your Marner pick there, Ryan. I don't think I'm going to go that route. It feels like reaching just a little bit, and I'd rather, select some of these guys that I think are actually pretty solid values here. The first one for me that probably shouldn't have made it all the way back to the 212 is going to be Willie Nylander. right winger. Yeah, to me, he's probably more in the mid-second round where he should go. There's a few names that have come off here who I would select him over already. And then the other one, I've got, maybe I shouldn't say it out loud, but I've got three guys in the queue that I think are all relatively in the same area here. I feel really confident with McKinnon and Nylander here, so maybe I'm going to take a little bit more of a swing on this one. I'm going to go for Jason Robertson here from Dallas. I love the way that he ended the season. I love the way that after he kind of worked himself back from injury in the playoffs, he was kind of their best player as they were getting out of the playoffs. So I think that Jason Robertson really has a chance to elevate his game once again. Pete DeBoer is out of the picture. You can argue that that's a decrease in coach quality, which is entirely possible, but it's also entirely possible, they had to move on from some of their forwards. Mason Marchment goes away this year. Maybe they lean on the top six a little more heavily. Maybe they lean on Jason Robertson specifically a little more heavily, and he gets back closer, maybe not all the way to his, 104-point season, something like that, of a few years ago. Maybe not all the way back there, but more in that range than not. Blake, you got a while to wait before your pick. Rip apart these two picks of mine for me.
How can I? Oh, that is such a fun start right there. But you're absolutely right. If you pick McKinnon first and the Nylanders there at 212, it's like, just give me the trophy, boys. But isn't it funny? Like, have you guys experienced where you finish your draft and you're like, this team is a winner. There's no way I'm going to lose. And then you lose. It's like, how? That doesn't make any sense. I had that last year in like my home league there. I was like, I'm going to crush these people. Like, this is insane. And I ended up second, but it was like the guy in first went way off. So I don't know. It's fantasy hockey. It's a cruel joke sometimes. But I mean, when you start with McKinnon, Nylander, Robertson, you're loving life. I like Panarin too at 3-2. I think he's a big time value this year.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan, you're on the clock. You got Kucherov and Marner, and you go Braden Point. Going for a stack here?
Yeah, had to do the stack. I would have waited a bit on Point. I think he's a very efficient player, and I don't like drafting efficient players. I'd rather draft chuckers and guys who get 250 shots or close to 300. But I was gonna go to a D, but without ADP, any ADP, we're going blind. Like, I think this guy that I'm eyeing would go to the fourth, maybe even the fifth. So I can't take him here. So yeah, completed the stack.
Yeah, I can't blame you for that. Lucio goes Bratt. He's got Makar, Miller, and Bratt now. Wick goes Pasternak, Forsberg, and adds Tage Thompson here. Thompson was the other one I was seriously considering instead of Jason Robertson. So I love that pick. Actually, I love that team. Pasternak, Forsberg, Thompson.
That's a wagon.
That's an absolute wagon from the start there. Brian, you're on the clock. You got Kaprizov. You got Bouchard. Where are you going with this one?
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I can pull up guys that are absolutely reliable that are going to get me some points, especially on the power play. I really was looking at Panarin and then Keller and then Thompson and Bratt. Everyone's reading my mind, and that's the issue with the draft. So what I'm going to go with here with my pick is Jake Gensel here.
Right.
If he goes through.
We got it.
I got it? Okay. I was going to say, what's going on here? I went with Jake Gensel. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have paused it for you. No worry. We would have got there in the end. I love that. Jake Gensel, mid-third, super reliable for sure. I love a pick in the third round that I feel like I can just lock in, and I'm never going to have to think about it all year. He's just going to play every single game for me. I love that pick there. This is kind of where I thought we'd be, I think, by the middle of the third round. I don't think there's a ton of surprises at this point. I'll be interested to see. We've now gone nearly a full round without a D selection after Yossi came off at the 211. So it'll be interesting to see when we kind of start that. I guess Makar is probably a tier of his own, and then we have maybe a second round tier, but the third tier then of defensemen is probably what we'll be starting out soon. And it'll be interesting to see where that starts. Maybe not on the turn here with these three in a row. I've already added one defenseman to the roster. Evan, what are you thinking at the 310 here?
I feel like I'm in a tough spot. It's kind of weird. I'm thinking about the defense as well, but you kind of want to get some more power on the wings. I already took a defenseman. So, this is kind of a tough one.
Yeah, I don't blame you for
Ooh.
finding this a weird spot. It does feel like we did kind of hit the end of the super obvious names, and now it's a little bit more into the portion of the draft where you have to start staking
You
your
know
name
what?
to some of the
This might
guys.
be a reach, but I'm going to help you out here, Blake.
Oh, buddy, you son of a gun. I was hoping to get him actually at 4. I was thinking about it. I don't know if I
Martin
would have.
Necas is the pick at 310 for Evan. Tell us what you see out of Necas this year, Evan. What made you go with him ultimately here?
You know, I think in the offseason, him and McKinnon are just going to get after it. I think that he does have an opportunity to be, at a minimum, close to a point per game player. Obviously, going to get the power play time. I feel like with McKinnon and him, even if he's not consistently on his line, I think he'll consistently be on the top power play. And I think that, you know, again, you're looking at a point per game right winger, and we're kind of at that spot in the draft where a lot of these guys are, you're kind of looking for the wingers that are like that before we're getting into, again, the rest of the defense and then your centers.
Yeah, I projected Martin Necas today for 84 points, so I concur with that assessment.
Oof, I got 83.
83, there you go. Right in the wheelhouse there. So that feels good. Blake, you rounded out your turn here at the 3-4 with Victor Hedman and Wyatt Johnston, adding them to Werenski and Rantanen from the previous turn. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, picking at 12 isn't my favorite spot, right? And this is a mock draft, so I'm having a little bit of fun. I haven't dug in on it, a lot of strategy on what I'm actually going to employ. But one thing I do know is I want to, like I was saying, I want to get good defensemen and I want to get them early. And Hedman still has plenty of gas left in the tank. I think that's a 60 to 70 point defenseman, lots of PPPs, right? And then Wyatt Johnston. I'm just excited about Dallas. If you can't tell, I got Rantanen as well. Glenn Gulletson, I dug in a little bit on him just in terms of his coaching style and what he's bringing to the table. And you know, one thing that I learned, which I had forgotten, is that he was the power play coach in Edmonton. You know, when they sort of took off there with, you know, obviously when they had their nuclear year. Like, this guy is really good on the power play. I like Thomas Harley on the back end. So yeah, I'm big on Dallas this year, and I think Johnson's, you know, a 70 to 80 point guy probably this year, with ceiling for more if he gets more opportunity.
Johnson's also a very young guy too, and every single year he just keeps getting better and better. That's a solid pick, I think.
It feels okay. I mean, you have to reach a little bit when you're at the end like that.
Yeah, that is one thing when you're on the ends of the drafts. You do have to go up and get your guys sometimes. Evan, your guy at the 4-3 was Adam Fox. So now you've got two defensemen, Rasmus Dahlin, Adam Fox, adding them to Jack Hughes and Martin Necas. What made you go with Fox?
I just feel like, and maybe this has been a new strategy over the past few years, but I feel like the top tier of defensemen, it kind of has that drop off. And I definitely want to get, if not 2-3 defensemen, I'm really confident going to get me those points. And Adam Fox, you know, had a down year by all standards with the rest of the New York Rangers as well. And I think that if he has anything close to a point per game, he's going to get those power play points if they bounce back. I think JT Miller coming there is really going to help him too. And I just think he's actually going to be a good pick in that spot.
I don't mind that at all. Brian, you added Lucas Raymond at 4-6.
Yeah.
In between there, we got Ovechkin and Hyman. Aho and Uyghur go right after. What's up with Raymond? Why are you feeling him in the middle of the fourth?
Yeah, Raymond, again, might be a little bit of reach, but I'm looking just at, first of all, my lineup. Got a lot of left wings already in defense. I'm looking to fill it with some right wing that has a lot of upside still. I think he also has areas to improve. I think last year we all thought he was going to regress negatively, and he still had a good year. So I know Detroit is still going to be on the rise if they can sort out the mess that is Detroit. And I think he's going to be a real reason. There you go, Detroit Lions fan there. And I think he's going to be a real part of that offense. Yeah.
He's a great power play performer. This guy was 4th in the league in power play points. What the hell?
Stud.
Absolutely. Ryan, back to you. Kucherov,
Yeah.
minor point. Where are we headed at the 4-9?
Lucio Mancuso, you just sniped me hard. I was really hoping for Uyghur here. I think with his peripherals and like no real battle for power play one, like this is great value even in the 4th round for Uyghur. So I don't love stacking this much, but I guess I'm higher on Tampa this year. You know,
no tax state over there.
Yeah, I don't think Hagel is bound for power play 2 a lot this year. I think he can really secure a power play 1 spot, and I think he can keep up, you know, maybe a point per game pace again.
Ryan, I actually love this. I when you stack the Lightning like that, they are a great fantasy hockey team. And if they're playing 4 games in 1 week, you're dominating.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing I would say, I agree with you, Ryan, that I don't love stacking it up this much just because of roster flexibility in season. If they are playing all on heavy nights, then you really got to figure out what you're doing on the off nights for that week. I come up on the clock here. I feel like I almost have to take a defenseman or get completely left behind. But luckily for me, there is one left here that I'm still quite high on. That's going to be Josh Morrissey for me.
Yeah.
412 feels like pretty reasonable value. It was going to be between him and Jake Sanderson. Sanderson goes off at the 410. Hellebuck, the first goalie, goes off at 411 before my pick here. I've got a few options here. I don't think there's another defenseman here that's really jumping off the screen to me. I could go for a little bit of a reach in some direction one way or another, but I don't think I'm going to do that yet. I do feel like I'm starting a tier as well with the wingers left here, but mostly just because I want to talk about the player. I'm going to go ahead and draft Nick Ehlers here and stake my claim. I did Nick Ehlers' projection here on Carolina, and I came out to 80 points, and it is an uncomfortable place to be. I'll probably take another look at it, and I'll probably mute it a little bit just because that does feel like a bit of a ceiling outcome. But if you just look through what Nick Ehlers has done on a permanent basis throughout his career in Winnipeg, it's just been utterly ridiculous, on par with some of the greats across the league in that time span. He just has never gotten the minutes, and I have to assume that when he was the belle of the ball after Marner went off, right? Like, everybody wanted a piece of Nick Ehlers. They were courting him. I have to assume that part of the reason he wanted to go to Carolina was he said, I want a top line role, and Rod Brindamore was forced to come on board with that a little bit. I still am only projecting Nick Ehlers for 14 minutes, even strength time on ice. That's not like in the upper echelon. Like, for reference, I've got a guy like Connor Bedard up over 17 minutes even strength time on ice. So there's still a fair amount of leeway there. Carolina just doesn't give anybody that kind of even strength time on ice, and I still come out with Ehlers at this ridiculously high number. Part of that is, too, I think he just fits quite well. I think that he's going to be an instant fit, probably on the top line with Jarvis and Aho, and it's going to work out well right from the start. I don't feel really any doubt that it's going to work out in Carolina. Does anybody feel differently about Ehlers in Carolina?
Crickets.
I got him down for 70 points and
Okay.
more of like a median projection. I can see it happening. But I do think like no Carolina player will be amazing. And I'm coming up. I'm getting the anxious music in my
You're on the clock.
Yeah.
You got 10 seconds left.
Oh,
Wow.
no, right.
There we go.
You said you were going to. You did it, you son of a gun. Yeah, Ehlers, to me, I don't know. He's never played with these type of players at even strength. Obviously, he's a great power play performer, but if he gets on a line with Aho, I mean, that's going to be interesting. And Jarvis is a dog. He's that guy in the corners, winning puck battles, getting the puck to these two guys. I definitely see an increase in his even strength numbers. It's just, how does that Carolina power play work? And because, I was looking at that too. They're a bunch of lefties. Right, we might need a right-handed player on that power play, and I'm not sure what's going to happen, if it's going to be Svech taken off or what they're going to do. But I got Ehlers for 75. I projected him for 75. That's how my first pass came through. So
Love that. Brian, it's come around to you. So just to recap, after my Ehlers at 5-1, we got Lane Hudson 5-2, Macklin Celebrini 5-3. I love that pick. I didn't want to go for a second center after taking McKinnon in the first. I didn't really want to go there, but Celebrini definitely would have been consideration if I had been willing to stomach that. Ryan goes Elias Pettersson, as we mentioned, Tim Stützle at the 505, Shea Theodore at the 506, and Brian, you're on the clock at 507.
Yeah, and with this pick, I'm going to pick up Thomas Harley. I think he's going to be a stud this year if he can finally get PP1. I think it's important to get at least 2 solid defensemen in the first couple of rounds here. And I'm actually surprised Stützle fell to the 5th round because I think he is absolutely due for also another good year as long as Ottawa keeps continuing to get better. But as long as Harley can get power play 1, I think this will end up being a bit of a steal here.
Blake, I don't think you have any thoughts on Thomas Harley, do you?
I love the player. I feel like we could get him at a little bit better value, but I mean, again, you go out and you get your guy, right? Like I believe that Thomas Harley is going to be power play 1 as well. So I think that's has the bones of a 60-point defenseman, and a 60-point defenseman in the 5th round. Sure. Like that sounds good. And at the very least with Harley, he's a double-digit goal defenseman, and that's not very common as well. So yeah, I like the pick. I feel like there's a bit more value there, but Jimmy Cornyn, I don't care.
Very nice. 508 is Kirill Marchenko. 509 is Connor Bedard. I did Bedard's projection today. Came out to 70 points, 30 goals, 40 assists, 70 points. I think he's got upside for even more than that. They have no one else there. He's going to get an insane amount of ice time. I feel pretty confident about that part of it. It's really just, can they continue to build on what was there last year? They don't have a lot of the personnel there, but maybe a full season of Ryan Donato on the top line. They showed some chemistry there. Maybe that helps. Frank Nazar, him coming up, maybe that helps as well. I'm at least open to the idea. You look at the micro stats on Bedard, you look at everything around the player. I don't think this is a player who's, trending in the wrong direction in any regard. So I like Connor Bedard there. Evan, you went with Nick Suzuki, 5'10".
So got sniped on Bedard. Definitely a slight panic pick, but I will say I love Nick Suzuki, and I love what Montreal is doing as a team. You got Demidov coming in. You got Lane Hudson erupting last year. I traded for Nick Suzuki, traded Dylan Gunther for him, threw in a Casey Middlestat earlier in the year. But near the end of the year, Nick Suzuki really came on, and I think that last year was a career best for him, and I think that this upcoming year it may continue, like at least point per game, if not slightly higher than that for him.
I'm into it. Nick Suzuki is going to get all the time there in Montreal for sure. I do think that I haven't done the projection there yet, but baseline, I do think Montreal probably overperformed in some regards last year. I'm not sure exactly what that'll turn out to look like for fantasy purposes, but I'm excited to dig in there and see what comes out. Adrian Kempe goes 5'11", and Blake, you go Matt Barzal and Carter Verhaeghe at the 5'6" turn.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's again, I'm picking at the 12 spot here, so I feel like I'm reaching on both players, but I mean, they're not going to come back to me, I don't think. So obviously I like Barzal. I think he's a major value here. So that's probably a reach because his ADP is probably going to be super low, even on Yahoo because of his injury. It just tends to happen over on Yahoo. So I think this is a guy I'm going to be way in on this year, and I'm probably going to have a lot on my team. But for the purposes here, I just wanted him here. I wanted to get a center locked up. And then Carter Verhaeghe, one of the, we've talked about it, Nate, one of the most unlucky players in the entire league. The metrics, they're flying off the page. This guy was 16th overall in shots to goal per 60 on the year, 8th overall in scoring chances for per 60. And, he had a down year, only 53 points in 81 games. So I'm expecting, 70-point Carter Verhaeghe. I haven't projected him yet, but he's obviously got that in the wheelhouse. He does need power play 1 though. And there was some question about that last year, but he did get it back in the playoffs.
Love that. We get DeBrincat after that, and Evan, you add John Tavares. So the Montreal-Toronto rivalry well and alive within your team here.
Yep. Johnny T's just Mr. Reliable. I'm going to take him getting hits, block shots, that power play, net front, and tapping in pucks. And I think with Marner gone, he's going to have more opportunity to do that too.
Can't hate on that. Andrei Svechnikov goes 604. One effect of Ehlers in Carolina is I did end up kind of pushing Svechnikov down. I don't think it's a slam dunk that he's on power play 1 anymore. I think it's still probably the most likely, but it's much more of like a 60-40 bet or even a 55-45 bet. For whatever reason, Brendan Moore really liked Jackson Blake on the top power play unit last year. I mean, he was reasonably effective. It wasn't for no reason. Yeah, it really depends what they decide to do there. Wouldn't surprise me if Svechnikov spent more time on the second unit there this year, and that has me a little bit worried. At the 604, with everything else he brings to the table, 200 shot potential, 200 hit potential, that definitely boosts his profile for fantasy purposes, but I'm a little bit gun shy on Svechnikov this year for that reason. Dougie Hamilton goes 605. Tons of upside there if he stays on power play 1 all year. He's obviously terrific offensive defenseman, but I am really starting to wonder when it's going to be Luke Hughes' time. In my mind, Luke Hughes took a huge step underneath the hood last year, and it might just be this year where they decide this is your team now, Luke Hughes and Dougie Hamilton. I mean, there are even some trade rumors around Dougie Hamilton this offseason already. Wouldn't surprise me if they start to prioritize Luke Hughes there moving forward. And then, Brian, you went to Detroit to add Dylan Larkin at the 606.
Yeah, I did. I look at Dylan Larkin. He's been in around a point per game player, but he shoots the biscuit in the basket. You know, he shoots a lot, gets the first line exposure. And I like the stack with having him with Raymond. So I just think that it's a big opportunity there. Someone that can score, someone that shoots a lot. I think it's really valuable.
Yeah, I love Larkin, one of the more bankable guys in the mid rounds here. Blake was just looking like a proud papa when he said biscuit in the basket there.
Yeah,
he was so
this
pleased.
guy, yeah, it's just he's just upping himself. Like when I did a pod with him the other day, he's got all the catchphrases. So yeah, buddy, you know that's how you do it. Flattery will get you everywhere. All right.
That's for sure the case with Blake. Ryan, you're up 609. What are you thinking here?
So at this point in the draft, I don't have any D. No D for Ryan at the moment, but I do think we've reached a time in the draft where like all the elite D are taken and it's not worth it to reach now. So I'm forced into a 0D strategy here, and I'll go for upside in the later rounds because there's just some great wingers here, and one of them had a real down year last year. Very low on ice shooting percentage at even strength and abnormally low IPP. So I think I'm getting here with Fiala, and I think he's going to crush it this year with Quinton Byfield taking a step and really secure power play 1 role. I think he's good for 7+ points.
I love that.
Yeah, nice value there.
Fiala feels really good in the later 6th. Matvei Michkov goes off 6'10". I love that pick as well. And Tom Wilson, 6'11". It's back to me. I can't believe that Seth Jarvis is still on the board, so I'm going to lock that in right away. That's a no-brainer for me. It adds my second right winger, so I feel pretty good about that. I've also got a left wing and a left wing right wing, and Robertson and Ehlers. I feel like I can go in multiple directions here. I could go to defense, or as you mentioned though, Ryan, there's nobody that's like really sticking out here. You're kind of taking a swing if you go that route. I think I'll just try to stay as flexible as possible in this spot. I'm going to go with Timo Meier here. Even if we kind of get what we got last year from Timo Meier, he's probably worth this pick. And if he does do any better, then it's just gravy on top. So I kind of like that there. He's left wing, right wing in this format. So again, gives me a little bit of positional flexibility that you're never going to be mad at in season.
That guy was going in the 2nd round in like 13th overall pick 2 years ago.
That felt good though too. You're like, this is going to be a smash. Timo Meier, let's go. Power play 1. What the hell? I mean, I'm not even convinced he gets it this year. Like they something about Timo Meier instead of Stefan Nason on that power play. They don't like it for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's a Sheldon Keefe effect. He had a little bit of that with William Nylander when Nylander was on the younger side of things, kept him on the 2nd unit far longer than he needed to. So hopefully this is a year for Timo Meier, but as I mentioned, even if it's not, I think I'm going to be pretty okay with
Shame
Meier
me, everyone.
at 7-1.
Shame me taking the goalie.
Ryan goes with Andrei Vasilevsky at the 704. Hellebuck, as I mentioned, went back at the 411, and then this is the second goalie taken. You know it's an Apples and Ginos draft when the second goalie taken is in the 7th round, that's for sure.
And it's Vasilevsky. What the hell?
And it's Vasilevsky. Adding to the Tampa Bay stack here, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm going full stack now. We're trying to do strategy. I like it.
I love
Where's
it.
Nick? No, Nick Perbix is another team anymore.
No, yeah. He can definitely get Chernak a little later. Seth Jones went 702. Mark Scheifele 703 before the Vasilevsky pick at 704. Dylan Guenther at 705. That feels like a high upside pick. I'm into that. 706. Travis Konechny. I like that. This really does feel like a sweet spot through. I don't even know where I'd say this kind of starts for me. Like almost from the start of the fifth all the way through the seventh here feels like one big tier, and just to amass a bunch of players with really high floors but also high ceilings in this range, I think you can absolutely do that in your drafts this year, especially if you get some people in your drafts who aren't as sharp as the Apples and Ginos faithful that are in this draft. I think you can you'll definitely find some good value there. We're back to you, Brian. You go Ryan Thomas at the 707. Talk to me about that one.
Yeah, Robert Thomas, over a point per game per player. All the offense kind of runs through him. I was actually really looking at Konechny, so I'm sad to see he got picked right before me. But Robert Thomas usually gets picked really late in the draft, so I might have been able to even fade on this pick a little bit, but I didn't want him to go by. So great offensive player, great for my team, adds to center depth here.
Yep, can't hate on that pick at all. There's still a bunch of guys that I think should come off here in the 7th round, but I mean, I'm hoping they come all the way back to me at the 8-12. Probably not much hope with this group of sharps here. I do think it'll be interesting once we get a little bit deeper to see if the centers continue to come off, or if we start to see that center value that you typically see later in drafts. I think there are some teams that still need some defensemen. I'm one of them. I've only got one. As you mentioned, Ryan, you're in a bit of a 0D situation, so we could definitely see some defense runs still to come here. It'll be interesting to see how people feel about the goaltenders. Then we might get some goaltenders running off here as well once everybody feels like they've reached the appropriate place in the draft to take them. Even in an Apples and Ginos draft, we'll probably see some of these starters come off. After Thomas, it's Stamkos at the 7-8, McAvoy at the 7-9, Hurdle at the 7-10 to you, Evan. What's got you excited about Hurdle here?
Love Tomas Hurdle, big power play guy. The fact that he's left wing eligible here for my left wing, but he's really a center. Got to take him there. I think he can repeat what he did last year, if not better. Adding Marner to that power play now. I will say, yeah, like a lot of sharps in here, man. I was thinking about Seth Jarvis, Dylan Guenther was high on my radar, and I love Robert Thomas actually too. But yeah, I think it's still like where I have him.
Absolutely. Matthew Nyes goes after that, 7-11. Can't hate on that pick either. And Blake, what are you going to do at the 7-8 here?
Well, see, I mean, I've been staring at Jordan Kyrou. I love the player under the hood. It's just, is he going to get the opportunity that he needs there? His ice time did dwindle kind of in the last quarter of the season there. So I'm hoping that's not something like a predictor of things to come, because this guy is amazing. He's a great offensive player. I love Dylan Holloway, so I think they're probably on a line together this year. I think that looks pretty good. Maybe with Pia Suter, it's not too shabby. That's a decent line, right? Pia Suter can maybe cover up some of the defensive miscues of guys like Kyrou and maybe Holloway. So I like that there. I feel like I want to get a center, but I'm not going to pick Hintz. He's here, and I want to pick him. But let me see. I got to run out of time. Okay. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. Okay. We'll go with Drizzy Drake Batherson. Oh, yeah. Okay. Love the power play stuff. I feel like, again, solid floor with Drake Batherson. Good bangs as well. I think it's kind of a boring part of the draft to me, but I feel like I'm sort of accumulating a bunch of similar guys like 60 to 70 point players that have good floors with potential for more. So yeah, I feel decent about that.
Nice. Yeah, can't argue with that here. Does feel like he's part of this tier. Pavel Dorofeev goes off, and Evan, you get Alex Tuck at the 8-3. I've been eyeing Tuck for a minute here. He was actually really in consideration when I took Meyer and Jarvis at my turn.
Lots of head nods.
I love that one.
Lots of head nods there.
Yeah, it's hard to get away from Tuck. He does everything, leads the league in blocks for forwards, so that obviously plays in most fantasy formats as well. Anything you want to add on Tuck there, Evan?
No, I think Blake, you talked about it on the last pod. It's, he just needs that consistent power play time. If he got that, like power play 1, and he played with Tage, I think he'd be point per game with 30 to 40 goals.
He's got it in him.
He's a monster, just get him out there, man.
Yeah, Can't argue with that. Dobson and Heiskanen go off after the Tuck pick. And Brian, it's over to you. Do you have a route here?
Yeah, see, I really wanted to go with Tuck. I'm really big on him, especially like if he gets the power play one, like you just said, he would go off. His best year was when he played with Tage Thompson, and he was phenomenal point per game. I don't want to do this pick, but what the heck, I'm gonna go for it. I'm looking at Mark Stone, the walking Band-Aid.
All right.
You know, if he could stay healthy, great player, really efficient, and with Marner in town now, could really look good on that power play. But yeah, he's probably going to get hurt second week of the season, but it's worth a shot.
Yeah, I don't mind it here in the 8th. Last year we were getting Mark Stone super late, and I had to like drag Blake kicking and screaming into the Mark Stone
I
conversation.
got him in one spot. I felt good about that. I'm like, all right, I'll take Mark Stone at pick 200. Like,
yeah.
Man,
It's
what a
definitely
snipe.
good one. There's Jacob Chikrin and Val Nichushkin. Ryan, are we looking at the first defenseman for your squad here?
You know, I was looking at him, and then he got sniped. I was looking at
same.
So we are not looking at a defenseman anymore.
Back to the drawing board.
Love it.
Back to the abundant center position.
Mm-hmm.
I got like 5 of them in my queue, so
Yeah, there's still a lot out there. Like I said, like I do feel like there is a big tier here of players, especially forwards. And again, it might be a reason to really prioritize the defenseman a little bit earlier in your draft if you're able to. Just get loaded up, and then you can kind of collect from a really solid group of forwards. You go with Adam Fantilli. You got a big projection on him?
I think it's a bit of a reach, but you know, it's a mock draft. I would probably wait until maybe round 10, but I do really like him. I think he did shoot a little efficient last year, and that might come down, but I think he can take a step in terms of generating more chances anyway, and I like him this year.
Yeah, I was digging in on Fantilli today with my projections. Boone Jenner coming back really helped that line out, the second line there. I think whether he lines up with like a Jenner and Kent Johnson on a second line, or whether he gets moved up with Marchenko at some point if Monahan comes down, I think there are multiple scenarios for Adam Fantilli to get really good deployment. The biggest question to me is whether he sticks on power play 1 and whether he can make good there. For myself, I'm at the 8-12 here. I am going to go a defenseman here. I think I'm going to go John Carlson. Had a good season last year. I don't really see a reason for him to completely fall off this year. He is getting pretty long in the tooth at this point, but still, I think that he's going to be pretty solid. And then Nico Heischer's sitting out here. I've only got the 1 center so far. Feels like a slam dunk pick at the 9-1.
You are getting some slam dunk picks up there. It's like, yeah, when it gets to you, I feel a little disoriented. I don't know about you guys because there's no ADP, right? It's like ADP is, I look at the ADP and then I'm like, valuable or, you know, a bust. Like I kind of use that. So like not like I'm missing players here. I've gone in with my queue, but even that, the queue is like this long. So yeah, and now Nate's reaping the rewards.
Yeah, Blake, I gotta say, I don't love your team, and I think once you make your projections and everything, I want you to come back and look at this mock draft.
Well, now, Ryan, I'll tell you what, we'll keep this team in the queue. I'll do a tattoo bet with you, Ryan. All right, your team versus my team, pure points. Let's go. You ready?
I will bet you that each one of your picks, everyone so far, I think is going to be earlier than their September ADP. I'm going to say that.
Yes, that I might actually concede. Yeah, because these are some reaching picks, that's for sure.
Yeah. And again, we talked about that on the turn. You do feel like you have to reach if you want to get your guy. I don't hate on anybody doing that from the turn position. I feel like I've actually been quite fortunate, just trying to stay neutral, and I've been able to, with the players that have fallen, kind of stay a little bit agnostic with the roster construction and get whatever fell to me. So that's been good. JJ Peterka goes 9-2. Dylan Holloway 9-3. Ryan, you went with Darnell Nurse at the 9-04.
Yeah, I mean, he'll block, he'll hit, he'll shoot. He might get 35 points. That's fine by me for a defenseman over here and putting up just a nice little floor.
All right, going floor at
Speaking of
defense.
reaches, Ryan. Oh my God! All right. You got the bed nurse there, Darnell Nurse. Yeah. Can you believe someone paid Darnell Nurse $9.5 million this season? I mean, what the
It's
hell was the
insane.
thinking? This was like years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, $9.5 million now for Nurse. You're like, okay, Dobson's getting that. Okay, he's not Dobson, but yeah, that was a crazy contract.
That was definitely one of the worst ones in retrospect. Vincent Trocheck, friend of the show, Vinny Tro goes off 905. Rupe Hintz, 906. Love that pick as well. I feel like he is in line for a pretty good season, probably alongside Rantanen for most of the year. Brian, back to you, 907. Do we have a plan?
I do. I'm going for an old reliable here. Nazem Kadri shoots
Love
a
it.
ton, leads that offense. I know beginning the season, I think he could have had a better year than he actually did last year because they refused to put him line one. They refused to put him the first power play for the beginning of the year. And then finally their offense kicked off once he was there. So I think it's a steal there. What round is this? Yeah, 9-7.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I did Calgary's projection recently, and my biggest takeaway was that Nazem Kadri is still a stud at, what is he, 34, 35 now? Everything looks good under the hood with Kadri. Still driving play, still doing everything you want him to do. He's probably going to play with Huberdeau all year long. I think it's actually a pretty interesting conversation who plays with those two at even strength and on the power play. Could we see a Matt Coronado escape from the clutches of the Backlund Coleman line and get onto the Kadri Huberdeau line and reap the rewards that way? Definitely something that I'm going to be watching for in Calgary. We got a couple of goalies back to back here. Jake Ottinger, Igor Shesterkin, and it's back to you, Evan. Are you desperately scrolling through, or do you have a plan here at the 9-10?
Kind of, and this is going to maybe be a reach too, but I've been down on him for a few years, but I feel like if I'm going the Adam Fox route and the Rangers to bounce back under a new coach, I'm gonna get Zibby and get two guys on that top power play.
Yeah, Mika Zibanejad, he has shown some weird signs of decline. I don't think he's a very good 5v5 player at this stage, but you look at the top six on the Rangers, and theoretically they should be able to figure this thing out. Mike Sullivan, I think, is a good coach. I'm not really honestly sure why it all went south so fast in Pittsburgh. Obviously, they had some roster construction issues that really hampered them in the end, but yeah, I'm interested to see what Sullivan can do in New York. I think it's going to be better than what it was last year for sure. Zibanejad should reap some rewards, if not a lot. Quentin Byfield goes off 9-11. Blake, you go Logan Cooley at 9-12. He was in my queue. And what do you got for the 10-1?
I don't know. Yeah, Zibby's a snipe. I was hoping that Zibanejad would come to me. So I need to retool there, get a center. I like Logan Cooley. I think that power plays, even just a touch better. He got 20 power play points last year. Maybe he gets 23, 24. Maybe we're looking at a potential 70-point season for Logan Cooley. So to get that in the 9th round feels good. I want to go another D here, but I don't think I'm going to because I want to have some fun. So I'm going to go over here. Oh, yeah. Let's do it. Let's get Demidov in here. I think this guy's going to run away with the Calder this year. I think 50 to 60 points with obviously runway for more. He needs power play one. There's no question there. But again, getting wingers, I'm actually a little bit flush with wingers now, so I better slow it down. I feel that this is kind of a fun draft. So I like having guys that I enjoy watching as well.
For sure. If you're going to go off the board, make it somebody fun to watch, and you've done that for sure with Demidov. It'll be interesting to see if he does stick on power play one. I know all the Montreal fans are like, yeah, for sure he's going to be there. I don't know if it's that for sure, but it does feel like the most likely scenario that he gets there. It's just a question of then what are you paying Patrick Laine to do exactly? Is he literally going to be scratched making all that money on the bench every single night? I don't know. But either way, it will be one to watch in Montreal for sure. He's definitely got all-world talent. Patrick Kane, 10-2. Evan, you go Erik Karlsson, 10-3. Just looking for some depth defense at this point.
Yeah, 60-point Erik Karlsson feels pretty standard to me. 50 to 60-point D-man in this late stage as your third D-man. I'll take it. I think it was kind of a good spot for him.
Yeah, I think this is an appropriate range for Carlson. Even if he gets moved, as there's been some rumors, obviously Pittsburgh shedding just about everybody, it feels like. Even if he gets moved, the only reason somebody's acquiring Erik Carlson is probably to run a top power play and play some offensive minutes. So I don't think his offensive outlook would change too much wherever he goes. Brad Marchand, 10-4, Jonathan Marchessault, 10-5, and Brian, you took a guy off my queue, Jackson Lacombe, 10-6.
Yeah, Jackson Lacombe, man. I think it's just a good idea to have someone, if there is someone available from Anaheim, because I feel like they always play on the off days. He had a breakout year last year. Great player, obviously quarterback in the power play. As long as he can stay on that power play, yeah, great pickup here. I'm giving myself a pat on the back. Sorry, guys. Great pickup, Brian. Good job.
Hey,
I love that, man.
You can do
Yeah,
it.
that
We
feels
just
good.
don't have to agree. Obviously, I had him in the queue. I like to pick a lot. Mackenzie Blackwood, 10-7. Brandon Montour, that was the other D that I had in my queue, so I got to get back to the queue. Ryan, talk us through your pick at the 10-9.
Yeah, really enjoyed the Erik Carlson pick. I was really eyeing him. I think if he does get traded, like Nate, like you said, he's getting traded to run power play 1. I could see that maybe in Toronto, if Riley isn't the guy there and Carlson comes in and is shot into a great opportunity with Matthews and Nylander and the
Love
rest.
That'd be pretty fun,
he would
man.
crush it.
Carlson to the Leafs. Oh my god.
Oof.
That would be very fun.
This one, I was gonna eye Brian Rust, I think, but if he gets traded, he's not getting in that situation. So I'm doing a boring pick here. I think we saw Bo Horvat's floor last year, and if he does that again, that's fine in the 10th round for me.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with Bo Horvat in the 10th. Raquel goes off 10-10. I've got to really think about what I'm going to do here. I've kind of filled out my slots pretty well. Brian Rust still being here at 10-12 is an affront to humanity, so I'm going to have to rectify that situation. But after that, I'm not too sure. I have the center spot open, but I have a lot of centers further down that I'm quite interested in. I don't feel like I have to quite go out of my way there yet. I could definitely hold off if I wanted to. The defense is really dried up. I think, I'm going to lock in Brian Rust for sure because he definitely shouldn't be on the board anymore. I don't love that I've got 3 right wing only, but it is kind of the situation I find myself in. I think I'm going to have to go Luke Hughes here at 11-1. It's just so much upside in my mind if he does get on power play 1. I think he could score. Honestly, I think there's not really a ceiling on what he could score if he takes another step this year. He's got all the tools necessary. He doesn't, do the stuff for fantasy that we typically love. He's not a big-time shooter. He's not a hitter, not even really much of a blocker. So the peripheral stats are not really there, but I think he is going to put up a lot of points. If he gets power play 1, I think him and Lane Hudson probably have similar stat lines at the end of the year, and Lane Hudson goes at the 5-2 in this draft, and I get Luke Hughes at the 11-1. It's taking a bit of a swing, but it's a huge upside swing in my mind, so I'm pretty happy with him there. Anybody disagree with Luke Hughes in the 11th?
Great pick.
No. Smash. Yeah, I was hoping he would come back to me, but yeah, it's just I really think he's earmarked for power play 1 this year. I think they want him with his brother. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think I wouldn't be surprised to see them start the season out with Luke Hughes quarterback in power play 1.
All right. Vote of confidence from Blake. A rare one, but we'll take it. Mackie Samoskevich, 11-2. That's a hype pick. Philip Gustafson, 11-03. And Ryan, you go with the namesake, Ryan Nugent Hopkins, at 11-04.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Again, this is a weird spot. I don't want to take any more centers. And I really don't like any D here. So give me Nuge, who can maybe get 70 points, maybe 60 points here. 60 points here is fine in the 11th round.
Totally.
Yeah, can't hate on that. It's an interesting spot. I haven't done the Edmonton projection yet, but I'm going to be curious. The power play hasn't been quite as good the last little bit, not quite as efficient, which is obviously where RNH gets a significant amount of his fantasy production from. If that bounces back, then you could be looking at actually a pretty big value in the 11th round. If not, I still feel like he's gonna perform at this level. So I never mind a pick where you feel like you're getting a guy at baseline level of production at kind of a floor projection, and then if things break right, you'll do better. Lucio goes with Dylan Cousins at 1105. We are starting to thin out. Like now you're for sure, kind of staking your claim on guys that you think are going to do something maybe even different than last year, or at least they have concerns about what they did last year and why that might not repeat moving into next year. So I think we'll probably get into some goaltenders here as well. We've kind of established the top end, Ottinger, Shesterkin. Then about a round later, we get Blackwood. Half a round later, we get Gustafsson. I imagine there's a few more names that'll probably come off here the next round or two. That'll make some sense. Wick goes with Morgan Riley at 11-6, and Brian, you're up at 11-7. You got a plan here?
Yeah, I do. I'm trying to think of filling out either like right wing, left wing, because I feel like you can always get centers a little bit later. With that said, I'm eyeing guys like Besser. Also eyeing someone like Tippett, but I don't really want to grab Tippett yet. Like, I don't know. There's a couple of guys I'm looking at, but I think I'm going to bite the bullet, look for a guy who I think can score some goals, which is valued the most here, and grab Brock Besser.
Blake, I don't think you would approve of that pick.
Buddy, it's going to be a smash this year. I mean, he's a 30-30 guy, I think. Even without JT Miller, I believe that that's kind of what he can get back to. And I think a lot of people forget just how bad the vibes were in Vancouver last year. And that affects things. Like, it absolutely affects things. I'm not thinking that Besser's going to be even a 70-point player moving forward, but I think his floor is really solid. They really need him as like a key offensive piece. They just got to find him a good center to work with. So we'll see if he can get that chemistry going with Petey, maybe Philip Hedl. I don't know.
Don't mind that. Tyler Toffoli at 11-8. I don't mind that. Do you think that Jeff Skinner, I saw today, Jeff Skinner and Tyler Toffoli played on the same minor hockey team. Do you think that we've got some Jeff Skinner life if he's going to reunite with his minor hockey teammate?
Absolutely not.
Just don't ask him to play defense when we're fine.
It does feel like a pretty thin bet. I kind of feel bad for Jeff Skinner, man. Like at the height of his powers, he runs into a coach who absolutely hates his guts, demotes him to the fourth line, makes his contract look way worse than it had to. It was a bad contract, but it didn't have to look that bad. Yeah. The coach absolutely sewered him. And then, he obviously lost a step as well along the way and was never the same player. But I feel like he's gotten a pretty bad rap and has never really gotten the chance to play at the height of his powers in the playoffs either. Feel bad for the guy, but it's hard to feel bad for a guy who's made, whatever it is, $50+ million playing professional hockey.
You're so heartless, Nate. How dare you?
All right. Matt Duchene goes 11-9. Hard to hate on that pick. And Evan dropping a goaltender here in the 11th round, Darcy Kemper.
Don't want to be the first guy to take a goalie here, but I'm going to do it. I was embarrassed to do so, but this is more of a personal thing. Darcy Kemper, I got as a 0G option last year, and he kind of won me my league. So I'm going to give him some love here.
Yeah, I can't hate on Darcy Kemper in the 11th. That's for sure. We're coming up to you, Blake. Do you have a plan to rectify what Ryan has characterized as absolute reach of a lineup?
It's just a train wreck of a team, and Ryan's got me on tilt here, and now I'm all discombobulated. But I'm having fun. You know what? I look at my roster.
Sam Monson
Hey. Right. Well, I was. Now I can't. Damn it. No, I want some D. So I've got a good option here. I'm happy here with Shane Gostis-Bear. I just projected him as well. Like, he's not going to get even strength minutes, but it doesn't matter. He's a power play wizard. I think another 25 power play points is probably in the cards for him. To get him in the 11th feels nice. And now what the hell am I going to do? God dang. Right. Okay. I know what I'm going to do. I was looking this up, and yeah, I'm just going to be, again, kind of a boring pick, but a guy I think is going to bounce back in a minimal way, but I think he's better than what he showed last year. Pavel Buchnevich. So I got him. I got Kyrou. I feel like that, one thing I try and do with my drafts is get power play one guys. You'll see throughout my lineup, at least, these guys are all power play one. And I'm going to try and do that as long as I possibly can. But I actually feel good about Pavel Buchnevich in the 12th round. He only got 12 power play points last year. That's way low. I think this is a guy that's closer to the 20-point range, honestly.
Yeah, I love Pavel Buchnevich. He's been in my queue for a minute, and so it's hard to hate on that. Kiefer Sherwood, 1202. Banking on the, what was it, 460 hits coming
He
back
will do it
for
again.
another round? Yeah.
He's like that. He's a nut. He wears like weird cotton gloves underneath his hockey gloves. Has anyone seen this? Yeah, he looks like the guy that holds the Stanley Cup. He's like, here you go. But he's got those, and then he puts his
He's allergic to like everything, apparently.
Yeah, I don't know, but not hitting. All right, that guy's an absolute unit,
that's
mega
true.
beefer.
Evan ripping my soul from my body with the Cutter Gauthier pick at 1203. Tell me, I think I've made my feelings about Cutter Gauthier pretty clear, but tell me why you're into him here in the 12th.
I think Brian said it earlier, you kind of want a piece of Anaheim, and I feel like you can get some of these guys later in the draft. I feel like this was a good spot for him. I feel like 30 goal upside if he gets power play one, consistent minutes, and I think the offense under Joel Quenneville is going to go off here. Defensively, I can't say as much as why I was hesitant on getting like those stall, but Gauthier, Jackson Lacombe, all these guys, I love it.
Yeah, I am pretty into Anaheim. I think July 16th, so we're coming right up on the NHL schedule release. We'll get that info pretty soon, but I fully expect Anaheim to have another huge off-night schedule and for them to be a target for fantasy for that purpose alone. My Anaheim projections came out pretty hot, maybe too hot, but I'm pretty excited about it regardless. I think Joel Quenneville is just such a massive, massive upgrade on Greg Cronin that it can't really be overstated. The same way Dean Evison was over Pascal Vincent there in Columbus last year. So, I think you have to take that into account when drafting Anaheim guys much earlier this year than you would have in years past. After Cutter Gauthier, Sam Bennett sticks around to the 12-4. That feels good. Drew Doughty, 12-5. And Brian, you went with Will Cooley at the 12-6.
Yeah, I sure did. I just like the fact that he plays with JT Miller. I think it's JT Miller and Zibanejad. I really like that. Probably won't get power play time, but he throws the body around. He'll increase shots. I like the pick.
Yeah, can't argue with Will Cooley feeling like a bit of an ascending pick at this point in time. Feels like just a brand of player that they really need in their lineup as well, right? At this point in time, they don't have another guy who fills that kind of role, and so he might find himself in the top 6 more often than not just because of that. I do expect they'll probably move some things around here and there. JT Miller's optionality, Zibanejad has played some wing now, so they'll probably move those groups of players around to try to find the best chemistry throughout the year, but either way, I do expect to see Will Cooley in the top 6 a fair bit this upcoming year. Dylan Strome goes off 1207. Hard to argue with that at this point in the drafts. I don't really like drafting Dylan Strome just because he feels very dependent on the other players around him to perform well because he basically refuses to ever shoot the puck himself. Boone Jenner, 12-8. I did Boone Jenner's projection today, and man, he did not miss a beat when he came back. Feels like a solid pick again for 25 goals and 49 points. And that's not with assured power play one time. So I do like that for Boone Jenner. Ryan, Vince Dunn, 12-9. How are we feeling?
Yeah, I feel great about this. I was really hoping he didn't get sniped earlier here, but I think Seattle, we'll see what they do with like a true top power play or a split power play again with the new coach. But I think with their personnel, they're gonna have a split power play again. And Vince Dunn and Brandon Montour, their ceilings are capped, but they're both gonna eat a little bit, just a bit.
I actually love that pick, Vince Dunn. I feel like you could switch Vince Dunn and Nurse, probably value-wise. Like Dunn is, he's a guy that doesn't need power play to be valuable. Like I think that's great value in the 12th round, Vince Dunn. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, Darnell Nurse, I got him down for 150 blocks, 169 hits.
Yeah, the blocks are high on
shots.
This. Wow.
Just the periffs alone are going to have a safe floor. So it might be a reach. I might be eating my words here, but I'm fine with Nurse at 9.
Well, your D's rounding out here, my man.
Very nice stuff. I'm gonna do something that I may regret. I'm gonna take Tony DeAngelo at the 12-12. You look
Wow.
at this lineup and tell me who else is gonna run that power play from the back end for the Islanders. It's pretty obviously DeAngelo to me, and I think it'll actually be a pretty valuable spot for fantasy. Not to mention he got insane even strength minutes last year. I don't know how much of that sticks around throughout the full season this year, but I just find it impossible to really fade D'Angelo based on the situation that he finds himself in, based on the fact that he's still a very good power play quarterback and offensive defenseman all around. I'm thinking about taking a goalie here. I might do it for the lulz. Sergei Bobrovsky feels like the last of a tier, and he stuck
What?
around far after. So yeah, let's throw Sergei Bobrovsky 13-1 into the mix here. I feel like he probably should have gone off before now, and I feel like all these guys that I have in my queue, they're just as likely to come back next time around. So Sergei Bobrovsky 13-1, Dustin Wolf goes off 13-2, Colton Parayko 13-3. Somebody want to roast me for taking a goaltender in the 13th?
What are you doing?
Better than Jamie Swindon.
And Bobrovsky too. He's going to take the season off, man. He only has to show up for
Yeah.
the playoffs. They got Daniil Tarasov in there, buddy. No.
Yes, Daniil Tarasov is
yeah.
definitely going to steal starts.
Yeah,
that's
of
for
course.
sure.
Of course he is. Come
Bobrovsky's
on.
off the case.
Bobrovsky, what are you doing? You forgot the paperwork, Bobrovsky.
All right, Ryan, you go back to Anaheim. Frank Vetrano. What do you see with Vetrano? What do you see his role being there? I'm a little bit scared of Vetrano this year. It feels like a player that Quenneville might not actually prioritize.
Yeah, so I did his projection, and I do think he's not going to get a top power play. He's going to get a little bit of a middle six role, and I still like it here at round 13. I think 45 points is a pretty safe projection for him, but he chucks pucks. He's going to send a lot of pucks to the net and a bunch of hits, 150 hits, 240 shots, and he also blocks, 73 blocks from a forward. Is what I have him projected for. So I'm fine with it, even if he's a middle six forward.
That's
Yeah,
kind of an interesting piece there. Sorry, Nate. I was just going to say, yeah, you're prioritizing periffs there, and like as the floor, and that's smart. That's not something I normally do, but it's like, it kind of makes sense. I always kind of prioritize offense, but yeah, when you got these guys that are pretty consistent with their periffs, like it's just a unique strategy. I haven't seen that really done before as kind of a floor play.
Yeah, and I think here in the draft is where I could do it if I'm pretty confident in their floor, where the last 4 or 5 rounds is where I can really swing for the fences and drop those guys if they don't hit.
Yeah, I like that.
All right. Armin is in the chat asking about the first overall rookie. This is going back to my D'Angelo pick. If Matthew Schaefer is in line for potential power play one, I would say it's possible, but probably only if the Islanders season kind of starts trending downhill and they want to, bring Schaefer in. In that case, they're probably shipping D'Angelo out at the trade deadline anyway. So yeah, by that point in the season, I think I'll have gotten my picks worth at the 12-12 from D'Angelo anyway, and I'll figure it out if I have to moving forward. Owen Tippett goes 1305, Justin Falk 1306, and Brian, you go with Neil Pionk 1307.
Yeah, I was looking see if I can find another power play defenseman, but there wasn't really any that I liked. And someone had just mentioned earlier with Tippett there, Ryan, I think it might have been you, who was talking about Tippett. And Pionk does a lot of great things. He shoots, he hits, he blocks. I just think he covers a lot of categories, gets you a lot of points every single way you could imagine. So I like the pick for a late round last defenseman there.
All right, we head through 13-10 to you, Evan. Do we have a plan here? Dursey goes off 13-8, Will Smith goes off 13-9, and it's back to you. What are we looking at to continue filling out the roster?
I do really like Will Smith. That was a great pick. But I'm going to have to go. I'm actually surprised looking at this, but I think he keeps his top line role in power play spot, even though Columbus has a lot going on there. The chemistry was undeniable on that top line for the most first half of the year, even with Fantilli replacing him with that injury. I think Monahan can still, be like a 60, 65 point center. He doesn't shoot that much, but as kind of my third center option, I don't hate it.
Right. After that, Sorokin goes off 13-11, and Blake, back to you. What reaches will you bestow upon us here?
I'm just going to reach around. I'm going to reach around all over the place. I like to do that. All right. Everybody gets a piece. Okay. I don't know where I'm going with that. I know exactly where I'm going with that. Okay. I'm going to take Jared McCann. All right. Maybe we were 1 year off on Jared McCann, Nate, I think. And now in the 13th round, we got a new coach in there. Let's see what's what, right? This guy's a great goal scorer. He just needs the opportunity. He hasn't really been afforded that. I mean, it's the stream team over there in Seattle, so that could very well be the case. But I mean, the risk is pretty low, pick 13 here. And then I think I want to get another center, so I'm going to just look in here. Oh, dear God. Yeah, I think I want a piece of Anaheim as well. I'm going to take Mason McTavish. I think there's some reasonable bangs there, and I think a good runway as well for him to achieve even more. But obviously, he's going to have to become one of Quenneville's guys.
Yeah, I like McTavish there. He was in the queue. Yeah, I feel pretty solid about that. I think one of McTavish or Leo Carlson is going to have a pretty big season for fantasy. I'm leaning McTavish's way right now, but I could see either of them kind of taking a step this year and establishing themselves under Quenneville. And so that will be a situation to watch for fantasy purposes for sure. Thatcher Demko goes 14-2. Get your fill up. Get Sorokin and Demko 13 and 14th rounds. Tell that to your fantasy managers in your home league from a year ago. But yeah, that's a good one. Evan, you go Aiden Hill at the 14-3 and add a second goaltender.
Yeah, I just think I was looking at, rounding up my defense, but there's just not a ton of great options out there right now in terms of power play quarterbacks or anything. There's a lot of guys that get good periffs that are going to be available later. So I just kind of went with the second goalie.
Yeah, don't mind that there. Matthew Schaefer does go 14-4. Ivan Barbashev 14-5. And we're back to you, Brian, 14-6. Where are you headed with this one?
I think I might pick up a goalie here, and I'm surprised actually I'm not surprised how many are still available, but I'm looking at someone, I know he has a lot of injury problems, but I really liked what Stolarz did this past year. I think he is the clear number one goalie, and as long as he can stay healthy, which I know is a big factor for Stoli, the goalie.
Yeah, it's hard to hate on that. Toronto's goaltenders looked pretty good for fantasy last year whenever they were playing. Stolarz did seem to take the net over before getting injured. Wall stepped in, played well. Yeah, I could see either of them having sustained periods of fantasy success. What do you think, though? Do you think, Brian, that the plan from day one is still kind of a 50-50 situation, or do you think that Stolarz gets a little bit more 1A treatment given that he was the preferred starter in the playoffs?
Well, I want to say option 2, but honestly, just given how he was hurt, again, we knew he was hurt. He has a history of being injured. I think they're going to do their best to do a 50-50 split, especially in the beginning of the year. Towards the end of the year, they might ramp him up, but just because of that injury concern, they got to keep it 50-50.
Yeah. I think that does make a lot of sense to me. Morgan Geekie goes 14-7. I think Geekie, quite honestly, Boston's forward group is probably one of the 5 worst in the league, if not lower than that. And so Morgan Geekie is probably going to get fed minutes, all he can handle. And I haven't projected for 60 points. Like, I don't think it's that unreasonable. I think actually there are probably quite a few players around the league that you'd be surprised who could score 60 points playing the kind of minutes I project Geekie to play alongside David Pastrnak. So don't hate Geekie in the 14th by any stretch. Jeremy Lauzon is an interesting pick in the 14th, going to Vegas there. Obviously a beefer. I still think I'm trying to get more upside than just a hits guy, especially in a points league like this. Ryan goes Dmitry Voronkov, clearly not scared off by the trade rumors or the late season demotion. What do you think about Voronkov in the upcoming
game?
I
mean, him, Marchenko, and Monahan had one of the best even strength lines in the season last year, and I think it would be a mistake not to give that a try again this year. And I think they're gonna crush it at even strength at least.
Nice. Right. After Voronkov, it goes Ryan Donato, who was in consideration for me. Kind of similar to Morgan Geekie, really. I think he's just in a position to get a lot of time on ice, did demonstrate some chemistry with Bedard. I think that's going to replicate again. Pierre-Luc Dubois, 14-11. I think I'm going to go with Josh Norris here at 14-12. Blake and I talked about this guy a little bit. I see the upside case here with Josh Norris. Buffalo has to get their power play working a little bit better. Josh Norris profiles as a shooter opposite Tage Thompson on the other half wall, filling kind of the JJ Peterka spot on that power play that's now vacated. I think that can work. Josh Norris was previously very efficient in that role for Ottawa, and so I think that could actually be a bit of a missing piece for this Buffalo power play. And if that works, if he plays 2C, if he gets Alex Tuck on his line at even strength, I could actually see a scenario in which this really, really works out for Josh Norris. With the other pick, again, similar to my rest pick before, Troy Terry should not be here at 15-1, so I'm going to take Troy Terry. I have 4 right wing onlys, but again, hopefully with the Anaheim off nights, I'm not going to regret that. I had a monstrous projection on Troy Terry that I'm probably going to have to take a look at again. I had him for 73 points on my first go round here. I think he is likely to once again be the number 1 player used at even strength by country mile. You look at the microstats, he laps the field amongst all the Anaheim forwards there in just about every category. I think he's the most dangerous and complete player they have in their forward group. And I think Quenneville, similar to what we said about Evison, I'm going to draw this parallel probably 1,000 more times this offseason, so get ready, buckle up. If you're not interested in hearing that, I'm sorry, but similar to what I said about Devin Evison and him, identifying good players in Minnesota, and I was expecting him to do that for Columbus. He instantly does that with a guy like Kirill Marchenko, instantly gives him a ton of ice time, and Marchenko has a career season. I feel similarly about what Quenneville is going to do in Anaheim, that he's going to isolate the players who actually do make a difference, players that I expect to be Cutter Gauthier and Troy Terry specifically, and then, as I mentioned, probably one of McTavish or Carlson. And so I expect that to take hold almost from day one there. And I'm pretty excited about what that can mean for a guy like Troy Terry. Blake Coleman, 15-2. Alexei Protas goes 15-3. And Ryan, you go with Cole Perfetti, 15-4.
Yeah, I should have looked at my positions. I haven't drafted a right wing in like 12 rounds, and I've been a bit of right wing trouble after Mitch Marner and Kucherov. I definitely should have drafted Terry there instead of Voronkov, but I agree with you with Troy Terry. I think he's the number 1 guy in Anaheim, and I think they'll utilize him for that. I don't really see over 70 points, but I have him for 64. With like a little bit of an asterisk for an injury risk. I know you guys totally ignore that. But yeah, in terms of Perfetti, he's my highest right wing here. I think he'll get power play 1 time with Ehlers gone. So I like his upside.
Yeah, I definitely think Perfetti is the most likely candidate to fill the Ehlers role. You saw him have a good playoffs. That often goes a long way in establishing your trust with the coaching staff. Definitely everything lining up for Cole Perfetti to step into that role and see if he can be more efficient in the upcoming season. Jeremy Swayman goes 15-5. Mikael Granlund, another Anaheim forward, 15-6. Alexis Lafreniere, to you, Brian. Do you think he's got a bounce back here?
Yeah, I think he does have a bounce back. I think over the last couple of years, you saw his progression year after year after year. When he was on the line with who is it, Panarin and Trocheck, they were awesome. Last year was a dumpster fire in New York, as we know, so I think he's due for a bounce back here.
Brian, do you see him getting on top power play at all this year?
I would love to see that, but I think it's a possibility, but I'm going to say no for the time being.
It is going to be tough. They have a lot of guys there now, right, who have been on top power plays in the past. You got JT Miller, you got Artemi Panarin, you got Mika Zibanejad, you got Vincent Trocheck. Gabriel Perreault has been talked about as a prospect that should be on a top power play at some point. So, yeah, he's going to have to displace probably Trocheck. I don't think Zibanejad comes off the top power play. Zibanejad is trending towards being a bit more of like a line-A kind of player, where his primary use is power play usage in my estimation anyway. And so, yeah, I think you're right, Brian. The best bet right now is for Lafreniere to be on second power play, but he is probably the next guy up. I will say that. After your pick there, UC Saros goes 15-8, Chris Letang 15-9, and Evan, Cam Fowler at the 15-10. You like his prospects there in St. Louis?
I do. He was running that top power play, and I think that's really where his value is going to lie in the spot in the draft as my fourth defenseman. I could have gone with like a peripheral guy, but I actually tend to like to go with potential power play guys instead because they can really rack up the points if they just go off their game.
Don't hate that. Jake Wallman, 15-11. Blake taking a goaltender. Linus Ullmark at 15-12.
It's time. It's freaking time. We got to do it. I've become so comfortable with 0G. It's insane. Like, it's actually dangerous. I'm like, whatever. No problem. Like, get down to round 18, 19. I'll pick a goalie. No. Yeah, you got to pick a goalie sooner than that, probably. All right. I was looking at Saros. I think that Nashville's going to bounce back. Like, I just don't see any way that they're as bad as they were last year, but I'll definitely take a ride with Ullmark. I see him getting a 60-40 split there at least. And I think Ottawa's underrated. Like, they're not a good defensive team, but they're not terrible, right? They're kind of mid. And Ullmark is obviously, he's as good as they get when he's on his game. So I like that pick there. Let me see what else I want to do here. I think I want to go D, and I think I got to be smart about this. This will be my first player off the power play, but Devin Taves, I mean, under the hood, this guy is unbelievable. He just doesn't have power play 1. So we know he's the insurance for Cale Makar, right? If Cale Makar gets injured, which he likely will, right? Devin Taves is going to step up, pot a few points, but he's also able to do stuff on his own and drive play. And I'm a big fan of Devin Taves. So I feel good there with as my fourth defenseman.
Yeah, I like that pick as a fourth defenseman option. Kind of pairs well with the Gostisbehere pick from earlier, where Gostisbehere is a bit more of a boom-bust guy. Devin Taves a bit more of a solid, dependable game-to-game. So don't mind that at all. Keandre Miller, 16-2. Evan, Marco Casper, hometown pick there.
Hometown pick. I think he has more to give, and I think that he's going to get more opportunity this year. So kind of easy pick later in the draft for me, dual position eligible. Quick story I got for you guys on Cam Fowler, by the way. I'm actually surprised I drafted him because this just popped into my mind. Met the guy years ago now, but we were up on a lake and with the boys, and we get a keg, and Cam Fowler's there. He's there. Darren Helm's there. We're all just hanging out, having a good time. And this guy's making millions of dollars a year. He doesn't fork up for the keg, man. He's just out there drinking and everyone.
No.
And he's just chugging brews.
We're like, Cam, you want to shell out like $10 for us, buddy?
Unbelievable. The late night beauty. What he's getting people to buy shots for him. He doesn't care. That's terrible. All right. Cam Fowler, he's getting bumped down even further.
That's a great story. After the Casper pick, we get Evgeny Malkin, 16-4, Zegras, 16-5. Brian, I thought I was hiding Gabriel Landeskog, but you got him here at the 16-6. This is a slam dunk.
I've been waiting for years to actually pick him, knowing he's going to come back. So I'm jumping all over that.
Yeah, I love it here. Do you see him on top power play there in Colorado?
I do. I think they want to put him over Nichushkin. I think Nichushkin has dug himself a grave over the last couple of years with everything else going on. So I do think he's going to replace Nichushkin at least to start, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, there's multiple options, right? It could be Nichushkin, it could be Lehkonen. Either of those I could see. Lehkonen has been the guy they've been more willing to move off in the past, but as you say, it could be a change into the guard a little bit with Nichushkin. I see it similarly. I think, Gabriel Landeskog, the captain of the team, he comes back in the playoffs and he's throwing hits like nobody's business immediately. Like, he's all the way back, at least mentally. Like, he's not taking it easy out there. So I love that for him. I think they're going to give him as much ice time as he can handle. I projected that for 18 in total, so 15 at even strength and 3 on the power play. I think that he's kind of good to go. 28 goals, 58 points, 200-plus shots, 117 hits. Like, he's going to be valuable, and to get him in the 16th, I think there are going to be lots of people who are going to be really scared of him, and he's going to go in this range in a lot of drafts, and he's going to be an absolute home run. All right, what do we got next? Lucas Dostal, 16-7. Evander Kane goes at the 16-8. I don't mind that pick there in Vancouver.
I forgot he was there.
Vancouver does need some help offensively, so Evander Kane could get some run. And Ryan, you go with Matt Zuccarello, the Zucchini Man.
The Zucchini Man.
Get it out of my cake. I don't need a zucchini loaf, all right? I want a delicious Parmesan.
I'm surprised Blake hasn't drafted him yet, but
Right?
he does have a lot of right wings. He could get 70 points if he's still with Kirill the Thrill all season on power play 1. So very happy here. I think
I knew you needed
everyone,
some right wingers there, Ryan. I'll just help you out.
Yeah, I think everyone's really crushing this part of the draft with great upside picks, and all of you guys are sniping me. Just want to say that.
Definitely. That's what we're here to do. First and foremost, we're here to snipe each other. I guess a side effect might be that we provide some content for the good people out there. I think there's some really interesting options still here on the board. I don't know, honestly, what I should do, but I know what my heart wants. What my heart wants is chicken necks. Chris Kreider, 1612. I think he's slam dunk in this range. If he sucks, I'll just punt him. But if he's somewhat back, then again, it's an Anaheim player, lots of off nights, and he might score 30 goals if he sticks on a top power play and Quenneville uses him in that role. After that, I mean, I don't know. There's plenty of guys I'm interested in. I think I might go Tyler Seguin here. I don't hate it. He's kind of does the things that we need for fantasy. Again, I think in Dallas there might be a situation where they do actually run a bit more of a top 6 this year than they have in years past. Tyler Seguin could be a bit of a beneficiary in that regard. Yeah, there might be a guy out there that I'll kick myself that'll go off here in the 17th. Brant Clark might be one of them, but yeah, I think I'm okay with Tyler Seguin at the 17-1. Anybody else got a problem with Seguin there?
Yeah, he hates the Sedins. All right. And he's got an insane gap tooth. It's unbelievable. It feels like there should be another tooth in there. I don't know what's going on. The guy makes millions of dollars. Like, let's go see an orthodontist. You know what I mean?
Tyler Seguin, elite tweeter, very good at receiving some great rinkside signs from fans as well in the past.
That's what popped into my mind.
Yeah, actually. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you can go look that up in your own time if you'd like to. Brant Clark, 17-2. Logan Thompson, 17-3. Don't mind that pick.
Great
Ryan
pick,
Simon Edvinsson at 17-4. Do you think there's a chance Edvinsson overtakes Sider for power play 1?
I think there's a good chance, and this is where I'm, staking my claims. Simon, whoever you are, Edvinsson, you are getting power play 1, but also it's a 17th round claim, and if it doesn't happen, I'm dropping your butt. So get out of here.
Yeah,
it's a slick pick by Ryan. He's right.
Z Bouillon at the 17-5 is one that I'm very, very interested in this year. Minnesota does not have a guy that's most likely a lifetime power play 1 specialist, but Bouillon does profile that way in my mind. I think there's a really good chance that Bouillon is that guy from day 1 in Minnesota and rocks, I don't know, I haven't done the projection, but it wouldn't surprise me if he had a 50-point rookie season alongside Kaprizov and Boldy and these guys on a top power play unit. So I love that pick in the 17th. He's definitely going to be in consideration for me at my next pick. We're moving right along. Thomas Chabot goes at 17-6, and we're back to Brian, 17-7. He goes William Eklund.
Yeah, I just think another year of the young guns continue to progress. Exposure to Celebrini. I think it's all up from here for them.
Love it. I love that. I love Olin Zellweger at 17-8. If he gets on power play 1 from the start, which is definitely a real possibility in my mind, he's going to do something. Very talented offensively.
Are we excited about San Jose and Anaheim again this year, Nate? Like, we had a pod last year where we're talking about the projections, and it was the San Jose episode. We're like, why do we like this so much? And Utah as well. We were really big on that Utah episode. Like, are we like, is this happening? This feels so, yeah, I think San Jose's got a bunch of gems there that people are going to be discounting because it's San Jose and they stink.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a spot to watch this year. Jacob Markstrom, 17-9. Connor McMichael, Evan, at the 17-10. Do you think McMichael's got another step?
I do. McDavid who? I mean, this guy took off, with a bang. He kind of floundered. I picked him up, and then he, near the end, like fantasy playoffs, he kind of like didn't show out too much, but they were kind of putting him power play too. But, he's a great rush player. And like, if you actually watch him play, I mean, he is a gamer, and I think he just showed it. I think he has another step, especially with Ovi kind of probably taking a step back in terms of his even strength minutes, especially, but 57 points last year and healthy through all 82 games. I'll take it.
I love that.
He's a burner.
Can't argue with any of that. We are cruising along. Jamie Drysdale, 17-11, and we're back to you, Blake. What do you got in store here?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like there's still a little bit of value out here. There's still some power play one guys that I'm interested in. And again, like this is my 17th pick. So I feel like Jonathan Huberdeau, 17th pick. I mean, yeah, what did he have last year? 62 points? He had 115 points in 2021, folks. Yeah, and then it took him like 3 seasons to like usurp that number again. But yeah, I don't mind this. I think Calgary could be in line for just a moderate improvement this year, and probably Huberdeau is going to be driving some of that. So I like that. What do I want to do? I wanted Logan Thompson as well. And so that I was going to kind of get my goalies sorted out. So I'm looking a different way here. I think I'm going to be, you know what? Let's rock and roll. Let's rock and roll with Stu Skin. Oh, buddy. He stinks. He's one of the worst playoff goalies of all time, but he can do stuff, in the regular season. Edmonton's still going to be a wagon. So I'm good. My goalies are done. Allmark and Skinner. I feel like I got 2 like solid starters, unless Edmonton does something, that they should have done 3 years ago, which is get an actual number 1 goalie. But if they don't do that, I'm loving life.
Yeah, I don't mind Stuart Skinner in the 18th. That is for sure. There's a chance they go out and get another goaltender, but it's probably going to be like at least part of the way through the season if somebody comes available. So hard to argue with that there. Elias Lindholm at the 18-2. And this is a spot where I could see Elias Lindholm being C1 and power play 1 all year long, getting a lot more Pasternak exposure in year 2 in Boston than he did in year 1, and that could work out well. So pretty hard to argue with that. Evan, you go with Anze Kopitar. 1 more year for Anze Kopitar?
I think Quentin Byfield totally overtakes him this year, but, I still think it'd be hard for me to imagine him not getting top power play and not getting at least 60 points again. I don't know. He might go down to 50 shots on goal through 82 games, though.
All right.
Yeah, he doesn't want to shoot the puck. That's fine. when you got Kempe, you just give him the biscuit.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would do if I was playing with Adrian Kempe. Pretty solid.
And Nate, do you remember your metrics that from Beer League, Nate? You posted it in the Discord. Do you remember what we're talking about? Nate was claiming that he's a beeper. I didn't know you were a beeper. You were saying something like 100 hits or something, Nate. Is that right?
Yeah, I didn't post the PIMs, but that would have been even more shocking.
Right,
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I've been known to close off a guy on the boards of Beer League before.
Oh, damn! Is that what you call it? Oh my god.
that is what we call it. I won't reference what we call it when it's in the dressing room.
Closing the man out.
Good guy tie goes Isaac Howard, 18-4. Interesting pick there. Obviously hoping that he jumps straight into the lineup alongside McDavid maybe and gets some points. I don't hate the shot here in the 18th. Claude Giroux, 18-5. Brian, you went with Nick Schmaltz at the 18-6 and Apples and Ginos' favorite.
Yeah, exposure to Clayton Keller. Guy's a stud. I think later in the draft, if you can find players who line up on the same line with studs, I think it's a recipe for success. So I like Schmaltz, even though he couldn't score a goal for what was it, like 40 games last year.
Yeah,
and then he finally put one in the net. That was crazy.
Yeah, Schmaltz actually had some of the best underlying advanced stats of his career last year, but somehow managed to score way less goals. So I'm not sure how that works out in the end, but definitely, as long as he's alongside Keller, I'm happy. I'm a little bit worried that, they tried some different stuff. They tried Guenther on that line with Keller towards the end of the season, and I think if they try that again, it's going to work because I think both Keller and Guenther are just terrific players. So that's the only concern that I really have there. Brock Nelson goes off. Jordan Binnington goes off. Karel Vejmelka goes off. I was hoping for Binnington to come back to me at the 18-12. I'm not going to lie. Leo Carlson, 18-10. What's got you interested in Vejmelka specifically, Ryan?
Nothing specifically, but at this point, if you can get someone who is likely not going to be in a timeshare and will get some volume and potentially some wins on Utah, who might take another step this year, like you take that in the 18th round. They brought in Vanacek, and who knows what Connor Ingram's up to. So I'm happy with this as Utah's starter.
Yeah, I'm going to go Joey Decord then. Joey Decord was a pretty great fantasy option last year on a terrible Seattle team. They are bringing back Philip Grubauer, which means more starts for Joey Decord because Philip Grubauer is not an NHL caliber goaltender. So I like Joey Decord again for fantasy in 2025-26. I'm also going to add Zane Parekh here to my squad in the 19th. I think Zane Parekh stands a very good chance. I talked about Z Bouillon, 50-point potential. I think Parekh has 50-point potential as well. I think his ceiling case is something similar to what we saw out of Lane Hudson this past season for Montreal. The only caveat being there, Calgary is a team with playoff aspirations, whereas Montreal I don't really think was until they kind of woke up partway through the season and realized that they had a shot at the playoffs. And by that point, Hudson had already kind of established his claim. Martin St. Louis also famously kind of a coach that will just hand huge minutes to young players. I don't know that's the case so much with Ryan Huska, but I'm a huge fan of Zane Parekh. His underlying stats, everything, like the production level from junior is insane. So love that. Matt Coronado, love that pick, 19-2. Alexander Romanov, 19-3. Ryan O'Reilly at the 19-4.
I'm picking up all the Ryans, so leave them for me. But I think if Nashville can somehow turn around their dreadful season last year, I think O'Reilly's going to be a part of it, and it's not just going to be Marchessault, Forsberg, Stamkos. I think O'Reilly has that power play one spot as the fourth forward there.
Yeah, I think so as well. He's just kind of a crucial part. Face-offs, the distribution to Forsberg. I think he and Forsberg actually do have a lot of chemistry, natural chemistry, with what they both want to do. So I like O'Reilly as a 19th round pick.
Yeah.
It's hard to hate on many picks in the 19th.
Yeah, I also he is one of those forwards that gets a lot of blocks. And a block in this format is 0.6 points, so it's not nothing. And I got him projected for 69 blocks.
Nice.
Brian, Pyotr Kochetkov, do you think this is the year he takes over a bit more of that net share from Frederik Andersen?
Yeah, I think I do. I'm looking at a couple of goalies here, and you're either going to get timeshare or you're going to get Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, and I just never trust Buffalo to do well so that his stats don't look horrible. And I think Freddie Anderson just always gets hurt. I think it's a safe bet to rely on Kochetkov here. I think it's about time that he takes over the net.
All right. Harry the Hat went with Zach Bolduc, potential addition to the top six in Montreal. Had a really good run. Some of that was power play based, which I don't know he'll see in Montreal, but good run for sure with the St. Louis Blues last year. Jimmy Snuggerud had a really good playoffs and kind of announced himself in the NHL scene, and I guess that's why they felt they could move on from Bolduc, but he definitely adds an element to that top six that they think they are lacking in Montreal, and I think that's where they intend to play him.
Is that how you say that man's name, Nate? Snuggerud? I've been saying Snuggerud.
Snuggerud.
I'm pretty sure it's ood at the end. I'm unsure of the first U in the name, though.
Like the Snuggie, Snug life. All right, he's living that snug life.
Snuggerud.
All right,
this might be a Verhoeven situation.
Yeah, exactly. You just basically take all the consonants out of it and just say the vowels.
Snuggerud.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the one. We're going with it.
All right. Oh, it's my turn.
Arturi Lehkonen, 19-9. Teuvo Teravainen goes to you, Evan, at the 19-10. I had to double check. I did not believe my eyes when I did my projections on Teravainen. I was like, wait, did he actually have a really good season? The man had 58 points last year. Did anybody else know this?
No. I was honestly just looking to the draft board right now, and he's got 24 power play points. If you're betting on Bedard to have a bounce back year, he's going to be a part of it. So, can he get 50, 60 points, and then you get him this late in a draft? And again, if he doesn't, he's a waiver player. So
definitely. Anybody in the 19th, you can obviously drop right afterwards and not feel too bad about it. Kuzmenko, best head of hair in the game, 19-11. And Blake, 19th and 20th picks. You finished out the team with John Klingberg and Maxim Shabanov. What are we feeling here?
Yeah, we're just going upside here. I mean, you and I had a conversation that was interesting, which is like, yeah, do we try and take some vets that we think have a solid floor, or do we go upside at the end? And yeah, I mean, I did one of each. Right. I think that Klingberg, is, if you're signing Klingberg to San Jose, it's probably to run that power play. So even if he gets like the 19-minute treatment, I can still see, a 40-point season there. It's guaranteed it's probably going to be a guy I kick to the waivers anyway. But Shabanov is an interesting case there. Sounds like Patrick Waugh is going to play him on the power play. It sounded like power play 1 potentially, but I mean, I'm going to be projecting him for power play 2 to start. But we'll see what happens. This is a guy that is pretty offensively talented, did really well in the KHL. He's got a nice highlight package too. So yeah, I think it's just an upside pick at the end here. I feel pretty good about it for a guy that could potentially be on power play 1.
Love a guy with a good package. Get your fill up ads. Victor Arvidsson, 22. Evan Anthony Cirelli at the 23.
Oh my God.
What are we thinking with Cirelli here, Evan? You think he's got some more left in the tank?
If he did anything close to what he did last year with Brandon Hagel, then I'm fine with him here. It was between him and Marco Rossi, and I just think that if Joel Eriksson Ek is healthy, I don't know that Rossi still again gets that top power play, so I just went Anthony Cirelli. Shorthanded points too, even though it's not in this league.
Yep, he definitely is one of the premier shorthanded players in the league. Marco Rossi, 24. Jonathan Drouin, 25. And Brian Matthias Michelli, 26.
Why not? I mean, you got to look for a replacement for Marner, and he's not it. But he's probably going to get a stab at it with Matthews. Matthews due for a bounce back. He's going to fill the net, and who else is going to pass in the puck? So why not, at this late in the draft?
Yeah, I love Michelli as a 20th round flyer. You're not going to find any argument from me there. Mason Lowry goes off 2007. We are close to finishing this thing out. There are still players that I'm reasonably interested in drafting, taking a shot on. So I really don't mind this area. And I think it is worth noting too, at this stage, we don't really know who has the good schedules week 1. Normally, my 19th or 20th round picks, probably looking ahead to week 1, and I'm trying to grab, a streamer level player from one of the teams that has a really good start to the season. We'll probably get another, overseas special where a couple of teams play 2 games against each other to open the NHL season overseas. Love grabbing a streamer level player from one of those teams just to start off. That's what I'd probably be doing with the 19th and 20th round picks in most leagues. Get a head start on streaming, get a head start on games played on my opponent for week 1. Just a little free way to get a heads up look on your opponent right there. But in the absence of that, definitely there's some shots to take here. Dylan Dubé, 28. That's interesting. Jake DeBrusk goes 29. I like DeBrusk here, actually. Ryan, talk to me about DeBrusk. Obviously not the season that we hope for in Vancouver year 1. Do you think he has a bounce back in him?
I'm not sure much of a bounce back, but he had a really high shooting percentage last season. I do think he's stapled into that top 6 and top power play though. So I think he'll get 50 points again. I don't think he'll get 60, but 50 points, maybe 30 goals. Really good value here.
Yeah, I like that pick. He was in my queue. We get Bobby Brink, we get Evgeny Dodonov, and I've got the last pick of the draft. I'm not going to go with the third goaltender, but Sam Montembeault still being here is a little odd to me. I think I would have taken him over some other goaltenders that have already gone for sure. So yeah, he probably should be off the board. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab Tyson Forster. I know he's injured to start the season, but I'm pretty comfortable to draft a 20th round player who's going to go straight onto my IR, and I can pick somebody up to replace him. And I think Forster probably has the most upside of any of the guys left on the board. So that's it. We have completed the draft. Take a look over your team, gentlemen, and let's break it down just for a second here. I think, Evan, you mentioned you got to get going, so if you got to do that, you absolutely can. Do you want to give us some parting thoughts on your team before you go, though?
Yeah, I'll go quick. I think being in this spot, between the 7 to 10 spot in the draft is always kind of difficult because I feel like you get, left with a lot of the your second or third picks of what you want. But I feel like with what I have, I wasn't too disappointed kind of up to the middle of the draft. Looking at it, I got Jack Hughes. I think Marty Nietzsche's is honestly the only pick that I kind of like had to do a double take on, but love Darlene and Fox where I got them. My centers I'm not too unhappy with either, but yeah, it's tough when you've got the competition we do in our draft. A lot of people sniping early. Definitely your team, Nate. Ryan, I actually really like your stacks too. Tampa is a great fantasy pool to go from. And then Brian, you got my top 2 picks from last year, so I love it, Cap and Bouchard. So everyone had a great draft. I think my team would do okay. I'm not 100% on it, but I like some of my picks.
All right. Yeah, I don't mind the team. I think you got the bones of a good team. You definitely don't win the league at the draft, but you can sink yourself pretty hard. So I love that there. Thanks, Evan, for hanging out and drafting with us today. Who wants to go next? Ryan, you want to talk to us about your huge Tampa Bay stack?
Yeah, I mean, didn't plan this, but it all fell into place where the Tampa guys were just really up there at the top of my queues, and their Kucherov might lead the league in power play points, and all the other Tampa guys will eat with it. This team right here, it's a 0D team, and I did only draft 3 of them, but I would, in league, I would be on the waiver wire quick to see if there's any promotions to power play 1 and be quick to those ads. And yeah, like I do think in the middle rounds, 9 to like 14, I took some nice safe floors that'll just put up some consistent points, and then the later ends of the drafts is where I grab some upside.
Yep, I love that there. And Brian, talk to me about what you're feeling with your squad.
Yeah, I like the first couple picks here. I think I might have I definitely reached a little bit on Harley. Just thinking of a couple of the players looking for their point upside, solid base, solid ceiling, like Kaprizov, Bouchard, due for bounce back. Gensel's reliable. Going through, I like some of the center picks I got in Larkin and Thomas, especially. Kadri, definitely. Definitely a couple of good picks here that I'm a big fan of. I'm happy I was able to snag Landeskog, especially. And I'm happy that I actually got Stolars here. Definitely some, not bad. Not bad overall.
Not bad for a first pick. I'll do my team and then we'll get out of here.
You son of a! Oh my god! I actually like my team.
What if we all? Sorry, what if we all, after Nate, you go, we should all just state why we hate Blake's team?
Yeah, I'm into it. But yeah, to me, it's a different beast when you're at the 12th spot there, right? Like you draft differently. Mm-hmm. And one thing I've learned, like doing my own projections and then going into drafts is like, I don't follow the ADP. I will draft guys where I want to draft them. And I've had success doing that. So I feel like, yeah, there's some picks here that maybe, if I do it again, like once ADPs are up and once I finish my projections, like, okay, maybe I'll wait a little bit on that. But I don't think there's anything egregious. Honestly, I think Rantanen is, again, a 90-point player. Werenski and Hedman, those are 2 top defensemen in the league, right? Hedman, 70 points, ceiling. Werenski, like 80 points, ceiling, right? So it's reasonable stuff. And then I feel like as my draft went on, I got stronger, right? And that's something that is actually a calling card of mine. It's like, yeah, maybe my first 5 rounds, like sometimes I have some missteps in there. But like as the draft goes on, finding value in those players that's something that I feel really comfortable doing, and getting guys like even Gostisbehere in the 11th. I love that. Buchnevich, McCann. Like it basically from that point on, all these picks to me feel like value. It feels like, yeah, the floor is just raising up on my team. So I'd be really happy with that, right? And then you never know what's going to happen with these top guys. Like there's a good ceiling on all these top players. Obviously, a lot has to go right for them to hit that ceiling, but it's within the realm of possibilities. Like Rantanen's going to be the guy in Dallas. Johnston is going to be right alongside of him, right? Like I remember, I think it was Pete DeBoer saying that Johnston's going to be the next captain of this team. Like this guy is like, he's good to go. He's a mainstay. He's a focal point of this team. So, I mean, even if he only gets another 70 points, that's fine. Barzal's a guy that probably drafted a little high there, but I think he's a point per game player. I love Matt Barzal. Verhaeghe, bounce back, Kyrou. I look at this team. I love these players. So, I mean, at 12, it's different than if I'm picking at 5, right? Mm-hmm. 5 to 7 is my favorite place to pick because you can balance your team and you can get value a little bit easier. Right here at 12, I have to reach a little bit, and I feel okay with the reaches that I made.
All right. For myself,
fair enough, right, Nate?
Fair enough. For myself, out of the one spot, I put Blake and I on the opposite ends here just for podcasting purposes, but obviously you get the 101, you get a McKinnon or McDavid, whatever your flavor is there, you're going to feel pretty good about your draft from the start. Nylander falling to the 212 was gift in my opinion. Robertson 3-1, I love. Ehlers, maybe I'm reaching a bit on Ehlers. It was definitely a point that I wanted to talk about, though, so I'm happy grabbing him. And then Jarvis falling again. He sure fell. Rust fell. I felt like I had a lot of guys fall to me that should have gone earlier. Defense is obviously the weak spot on this team. Morrissey, John Carlson, and then Luke Hughes, Tony DeAngelo is my 3-4 with Zane Parekh as the upside play late. Definitely a weak spot, probably a team that will need to watch the waiver wire at some point throughout the season for some defense help. But overall, I feel good about the upside shots that I took here. Managed to catch some falling value, which isn't always the case on the turn. So feel pretty solid for, a mostly vibes-based mock where I don't have my full projection set to go off of. Overall, I'm pretty happy with what we got here. We've almost gotten 2 hours. We should get ourselves out of here. Thanks to all you fine gentlemen who joined me on the live feed here. We are going to be doing more of these mock drafts throughout the off season here. It's going to become a bit more of a staple for us in terms of content, in terms of doing something a bit more regular for the people. So if you're catching this live or you're watching or listening to this later, make sure you get into the Apples Ginos Discord server, and there's a way to sign up for the mock drafters tags, so you'll be tagged when we're doing these mock drafts, and you can get yourself in here and do some of these mock drafts with us. But I think that's going to be all that we've got for this episode. Hopefully it brought you some value, helped you get a little bit better at fantasy hockey today. Many thanks to the band there for supplying music for the podcast. Be sure to check out their Spotify as well. That's it, folks. Much love.